All right. And Maria, do you want to introduce your topic and take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Maria Bear. I'm a 9 to 5. I am a veterans recruitment specialist at Mayo Clinic. I am a veteran. I retired from the military 5 years ago, and I was pretty providential that I ended up at Mayo Clinic when this position was created. Today, I am here and I'm going to start sharing my screen to talk to you uh, briefly about LinkedIn. And let me start this. So, all right, here we go. So LinkedIn, today we are going to touch briefly on how to leverage LinkedIn in your employment search. And so LinkedIn is really one of my favorite platforms. For some reason, it's not changing. There we go. Um, I am going to go into some basics about LinkedIn, not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but I have found the past few months that there's still a lot of veterans out there who either do not know what LinkedIn is or do not have an account. And so LinkedIn being the largest professional network on the internet, it's a great place to start on your employment journey. I love it because it really connects you with opportunities. It really creates those connections with people to enlarge your network. And really, if you're one of those people who loves to have events online and join groups and be a content creator, it is also a really good professional platform. Why do you want to be on LinkedIn? There's more than 30 million companies that are represented on LinkedIn with about 20 million open jobs in the platform that you can search for. And being the social professional network, the number one um, professional network for quality hires, about 60% of top recruiters are engaged on LinkedIn. So before we go forward, I just want to share with you one of the things I love the most about LinkedIn is their support of the veteran community. LinkedIn, if you're not familiar, has a what they call LinkedIn Veteran Social Impact page. And it is a very comprehensive page dedicated to LinkedIn's military and veteran initiatives. And so here in this slide, some of the highlights that they have there, and you can find, I can send these slides later for you guys to send out because there's some links. And if you go there, you're going to find more information about all these initiatives. The first one, if you didn't know, you can get an upgrade on your LinkedIn account for 1 year. So it's one promotion per service member to do the LinkedIn Premium. The best part about LinkedIn Premium, in my opinion, is that you get to connect with people directly via email without having to wait for a connection. You can also, military spouses can also have a free 1 year premium membership. So that's great. You know, as you're transitioning, in many occasions, you know, your military spouse is going to feel kind of left out. So this is a great place for them to start creating those connections. Let's see. LinkedIn Learning. If you have the premium account, you can make use of LinkedIn Learning. Two great things for veterans. They have two career paths, one for transitioning from the military into civilian employment, and the other from military to student life. I like the student life because we sometimes tend to forget about those guys. Once they go to college, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. And so I love to see this initiative geared towards students. There's a lot in the curriculum of LinkedIn Learning. So if you start with one of these two career pathways, you can exponentially expand from there. You can do certifications, you can do things to just improve your professional development. So I highly recommend it. Also, you know, LinkedIn groups. A lot of you here, I know from different LinkedIn groups that I participate in. So that's a great way to connect with people. And then if you don't follow the LinkedIn blog, I highly recommend it. Sometimes they have veteran specific posts, but even their general posts are really very, very beneficial. Okay. So with that, let's dive in. I'm going to share again some basics that I think are really the most important for veterans that I find are the ones that seem to give people the most problem. Okay. And let's see. So when it comes to LinkedIn, this is what I call the flow within LinkedIn, the cycle. You create a profile, build your network, you find opportunities, you participate in conversation, and then that goes on and on again. So that cycle allows you to create those meaningful and professional connections. And to me, the most important, honestly, it's the profile because that is your first impression. For those of us who are a little bit older, you know, the old business cards, the paper ones, think of this as your first impression, your e-card. So let's talk about Fernando. Here's a profile for Fernando. He has a really nice profile picture, and that's the first thing I noticed. He seems genuine, he seems friendly and approachable. Notice that while this is a professional photo, his photo is a little bit more relaxed, which is something that you tend to see a lot in the tech industry. The important thing about the photo, it's that you need to make it represent your personal brand, okay? So if you want to go into more like a business a type of environment after your military career, you know, wear a suit, wear a nice tie, wear a nice dress. One thing, and this is just me, I am not a big fan of military uniform photos in your LinkedIn account because you want prospective employers to see you as a civilian employer who fits into the organization. I also think having a civilian attire in your LinkedIn photo really puts you in that frame of mind of moving on to the next phase of your career. If you can afford it, because headshots are really expensive, you can afford it, a professional made headshot is always the preference. But if you can, just follow some tips. Get out, do not do it in your car. If I had a penny for every profile photo that I see inside a car, like, hey, what's up? Like, no, that is not professional. Get out of your car. Also, bathing suits. Unless you're in the fitness industry, you should not have anything in the beach or something like that. Now, there's some people who also have pictures of a group as their profile picture or with their wives. I understand the picture might be nice, but this is your profile. So I highly recommend that the picture is just of you. All right. The next is the background image. So many people don't realize that if you don't put an image there, what you have is this generic blue image with some white circles. And honestly, it looks pretty rookie. You want to have a background image that really conveys the passion that you're trying to align with. Okay. So here you see Fernando's, he is a sourcer for a technical company. So he's hiring. That's what he wants people to know. For example, mine has the Mayo Clinic logo with some fancy digital medical picture. So just something to keep in mind to kind of polish your profile. The next thing is the professional headline. And this is where things get a little tricky because you want to be catchy with your headline, but you don't want to go too crazy. I'm going to say this, and I feel I can say this because I'm a veteran. Enough with the transitioning veteran in your headline. Employers are not looking for transitioning veteran unless it is a government job. And still, you want to make sure that you customize your headline to what you want the employer to think of you, okay? Give prospective employers enough information to make them want to read more about you. Think of the newspaper. You read that headline, and then that's what makes you really want to read the story. That headline is really going to entice people to review your profile. So make sure that it quickly shows what you have to offer, and also include keywords that are relevant to the recruiters or hiring managers that might be there scouting. So Fernando here is a technical source that's short and to the point. You know, it's interesting because mine, and I'm not showing it here, but mine has what I do, okay? But it also has some areas that I'm trying to branch into, which is more data analytics type of thing. So mine says a data storyteller because that's a passion of mine, telling a story using data. So just if you put a little bit of effort into your headline, it will really pay off. Before I forget, I have to say this. If you ever want me to look at your LinkedIn and make some recommendations, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I would be more than glad to do that. The other thing, your URL. So when you create an account on LinkedIn, you know, you might have your name or your last name with a long list of numbers. Try to customize it. Fernando here just put his name and last name. Same with mine. It just makes it a little bit easier. It also looks a little bit cleaner when you include that in your resume. Okay. Next is the About section. Another area where I see people all over the place. So this is your moment to really shine, because this section allows you to speak to recruiters and hiring companies about you. Here you can talk about your skills and accomplishments, success stories, and what you really bring to the table. Okay. Above all, try to make it personal, but keep it professional. You want to connect with the person reading it. I really like this one for Fernando because he keeps it personal. He talks about basically the passion behind him working with people. And also, I like that he talks about, I'm a real person too. Okay. So here's some of the things I like to do. So he's trying to create some extra connections with the reader. All right. Let's see, a couple of more things. As I said, provide details about your experience, your achievements, and what you hope to do next in your career. Try to leave updates because you have an area where you talk about your experience, and try to keep it fresh and relevant. So some other areas that within LinkedIn, your experience, when it comes to veterans, we have so much experience to put down there. It really is, it depends on what you like. I took my whole experience and condensed it in one bullet, from 1997 to 2015, and just listed bullet comments, the positions that I had. Some people want to be more expansive. Some people use this area as a resume. If you're going to use it as a resume, though, make sure that it matches your actual resume, because sometimes recruiters and hiring managers will look at your LinkedIn, and then if they see discrepancy, that's sometimes red flags. Okay. Let's see, this information, I think it's really important because it really opens up your potential to recruiters who might have a variety of opportunities that suit you. Okay. Always thinking, I'm a big proponent of quantification. Quantify your successes. So if a potential employer looks at it, it's right there, and they see what you have to offer. We also have the skills section, and here is where LinkedIn allows other members to look at your skills and also endorse you for those skills. Always think the more endorsements you have, the more qualified you look to a potential employer. When adding skills, one thing that I always notice, don't add basic things like email or Microsoft Word, things like that, because these days, most employers expect you to have that level of at least a basic knowledge of those apps. If you're having trouble thinking about any skills to include, hey, ask mentors, ask other colleagues, peers, and just to help you brainstorm with a list that you can use there. And then, take a look at the job listings. If you're interested in a job listing, look at them, see what areas interest you, look at the soft skills that are repeatedly mentioned. Usually you will find it on the required or desirable areas of the job posting. Let's see, recommendations. So recommendations are tricky because I think for the most part, people think, oh, if somebody really like working with me, they're automatically going to do a recommendation. When I was studying for my MBA, one of my professors, she actually had us do a LinkedIn class, and she said, I want you to take 3 people that you know and ask them if they would write a recommendation. And it's awkward at first to ask somebody to write a recommendation, but they did it. And the only caveat to that, just return the courtesy of them doing. If they do one for you, go ahead and take the time, if you work with the person closely, and write a recommendation for them too. So let's talk about job searches to me, because job searches is one of the most underappreciated features of LinkedIn, and it works so good too. If you have a chance, take some time to play around. So you're going to find it in the upper right hand side of LinkedIn where it has jobs. So take a look and play around with the features. There's features that allow you to do job alerts, and that is one of my favorite ones. And so let's see where to go. So job alerts, for me, for example, I use the HR. It's a very general one. And so every time a new job for HR comes up, I get an alert from LinkedIn for me to look at. And so you can tailor and personalize your career or your job searches in that way. Also, one feature that I really like is the skills assessment. That feature allows you to demonstrate your knowledge of the skills you've added to your profile. So you have to answer 15 multiple choice questions. And so you have to score in the top 30%. That's what they want you to get. And then if you do, then you earn a skill badge that is visible to people in your LinkedIn profile. You also have the salary search feature, which is, there's so much talk about salary. Should it be in the job posting? Should it not? This feature really allows you to identify salary trends in a particular job by state, which is very important, especially if salary and locations are non-negotiables from you as you're transitioning for the military, or even if you've transitioned, a while back, you're looking at a potential new jobs and location is very important to you. I think this is a very useful feature. All right, so let's talk about networking, because to me, networking is really the true value of LinkedIn. So I'm going to start by talking about, I call the magic number 500. So a lot of people are not aware that LinkedIn has an algorithm. So I'm not a big fan of just sending out connection requests. However, as you look to just strengthen your profile, try to get at least 500 connections. Once you get to the point, the LinkedIn algorithm ensures that your activity, so any likes, any posts, any shares, it goes out to the news feed of your entire network. For some reason, if you have below 500, only some people in your network see it. And so start by looking, LinkedIn, when you look at the connections, you have first level, second level, third level connections. One of the things I did when I first had my LinkedIn was look at my first level connections and see who they were connected with and see if there were any commonalities. And so that's how I started building my network. The other thing is, and this is just a personal practice, if it is somebody like a CEO or like a vice chair, always send a message with the connect. It is good to send a message anyway as a good practice, but especially somebody in higher level positions, don't just send a connect. I normally say, hey, I am looking to expand my connection. I see that you're an SME in these areas. I would love to connect. And about 99% of the time, they say yes. I just think it's a good best practice, as you try to build your connection. Engagement is so key really to nurturing your connections on LinkedIn. Just like you want your connections to know why they should accept your connection request, be interested in what your connections are doing too. Okay, so what motivates them? What are their passions? Comment on their posts, share things like that. It is a give and take. If Alan here had a anniversary at work, LinkedIn will give you a notification. Just take the time to say, hey, Ellen, I noticed that it's your anniversary at your company. Congratulations. That goes a long way. Also, if you have the premium that I talked about earlier, the premium level, you can private message people. And also, you will get a lot of private messages. Always reply to those on LinkedIn, unless they're spam. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but LinkedIn has gotten a little spammy for me. But usually, if you get an actual private message, have the courtesy to, just a few lines, you can have a conversation. But if it's something that doesn't interest you, just be courteous and say, oh, I have to pass, or not at this time. But don't just leave. Don't ghost people on LinkedIn. It's just not a good look. One more thing I'm going to say, if you have a penchant for content creation, you can write articles to increase your visibility. I personally have not written one, but I know a lot of my people in my connections have. Also, LinkedIn, if you didn't know, has a content creator mode, which allows people to automatically follow you. So instead of saying request connect, it just says follow you and people can automatically follow you. And it also allows you to add hashtags to your profile under the headline about topics that you're an SME on. So for example, mine, I have it set as content creator just so I can have the hashtag. So mine says veterans, military, skill bridge program, things like that. Just something to keep in mind to kind of, create more interest in your profile. So some do's and don'ts. Keep your profile updated. Don't just randomly connect with people just to boost your number connection. as you're growing your network, make sure that you have something in common. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of awkward. Include measurable results in your summary. So quantify, quantify, quantify. Do give endorsements and recommendations to others. This is a big one. Don't use LinkedIn in the same manner as Facebook. And so you see this a lot around election time, or when there's kind of like instability in the country or certain situations. I've seen a lot of increase in posts on LinkedIn that should, first of all, not be written at all. But if you're going to write them, it's more of a Facebook type of things, which, creates a lot of polarity, a lot of discord on LinkedIn, and people lose or respect and professional bearing. And it's just, again, not a good look. Just practice LinkedIn etiquette. Again, just use LinkedIn platform as if you were in a professional environment, as if you were talking to somebody face to face in a professional environment. Don't like on your LinkedIn profile. That's just, I don't know if some of you remember this movie. I think it's 5 Degrees of Separation. If you have connections on LinkedIn, somebody's going to know you. Trust me. And so somebody pointing out that you're lying in your LinkedIn really, really damages your credibility, and you don't want that, especially as you're trying to create a personal brand in a professional environment. Stay active by contributing to articles and joining discussions. Don't write a long, drawn summary. When you write your summary, don't write a huge paragraph. Just break it down into blocks because it makes it easier to read. So that means that the person is going to have more interest in reading it. And don't be afraid to expand on your job title in the headline. And so that's something kind of like what I talk. I have my job title, but I also have other areas that are of interest to me. All right, so I did not want to bombard you with a lot of slides. I wanted to leave some time to Q&A if there's any. And here's my contact information. Feel free to contact me if you have anything. And that's it for me.